And then this was a really interesting question that we received in our Facebook group. We've had a lot of people asking, how does USCIS process cases? A lot of people are asking this because they're saying, oh, there's other people that I know or other people in the group that maybe have gotten a receipt notice before me, but I filed my application before them, or they got a decision months before me, and I haven't gotten anything yet. And so I know there's a lot of confusion about how long does USCIS take? How do they process cases? Why is it so random that somebody could get a decision before somebody else? And basically just wanting to know what's going on behind the scenes of immigration. And so I thought this was a great question, and I wanted to make sure that all of you have a little bit of clarity about USCIS and how they process cases. And it really is random and chaotic. And that's why it's so hard when I know so many of you in the Facebook group have asked, how long does it take to complete a fiancé visa case? How long does it take for an adjustment case? And that's why this question is so difficult for anybody to answer, is because there is so much randomness and so much disorganization, I guess you can say, for lack of a better word, at USCIS. And so the way it works is that you'll file your application, you'll mail your application to immigration, and sometimes that goes to a mail center, a lockbox, or it might go to an actual field office. And so once your application is received, a mailroom will process your application, and then they will either send it to the next office that actually is going to be reviewing it, or they'll send it to the officer that's going to review it. Basically, the mailroom will designate where that application goes and get it to the right place. The other part of this question that people were wanting to know is, how many people look at my application? Are there multiple officers? And what is that review process? So typically your application will be reviewed by more than one person. So I'll give an example of adjustment of status, for example. One office is actually going to review one part of your application for the work permit, and another office is actually going to review your petition, your I-130 petition and green card application, and you'll go for an interview, and an officer will interview you, and that officer will make a decision, and then they oftentimes have a supervisor that will approve that decision. And so there's multiple officers that can be involved in making a decision on your case. And then the other aspect of this is people are wanting to know, how is it possible that somebody could get a decision before me, or why don't I have a receipt notice yet? And it has to do with so many factors of where your application was filed. It also has to do with the particular officer that's looking at your application, if they have a lot of cases or not. And so there's so many factors that go into when your application will be reviewed. And also think immigration is receiving thousands and thousands of applications in a mailroom, and they're processing them. And so it can get a little disorganized about where you happen to fall in the stack, for lack of better words. So there's just so many variables, and the way that USCIS decides to process cases or processes cases. And so that is why wait times vary so much. It's so difficult to answer that question. And that's why it's random. Somebody could get a decision before you. So hopefully that helps clarify a little bit about how USCIS does process cases.